Hi, and welcome back to the Pretentious Film Bros podcast. My name is Brady Odom, and I'm joined here with my co-host Nolan Jones. And it is our mission here to break down stereotypes and build connections through film. We just got through and finished with our John Ford marathon. We went through 6 of his films, starting with Stagecoach and ending with Seven Women. And we just spent a lot of time taking notes, watching deep, intellectually, engaging with it emotionally, and we are exhausted. We love talking about movies. We really do. And that's what this conversation is going to be tonight, is us just talking about movies. But it's going to be more of a loose-based conversation and chat. We're not going to go deep in depth on all of our favorite films and the nuances and the mise-en-scène and all that stuff that we would talk about in a John Ford marathon or in a more serious discussion. Tonight, we're just going to be talking about what movies have we bought lately? What movies have we watched lately? TV shows, maybe music we've listened to, maybe stuff we wrote, maybe just something that we engaged with that was part of the pop culture or part of art that have just impacted us. And so tonight, just sit back. It's an easy conversation. It's a bit of a fireside chat. And so we're just going to be talking about who knows what. So if you don't like the structure, well, don't know what to tell you. But it's an easygoing conversation, and I know I'm super excited to just be easy and talk tonight. And just the reason why we wanted to start this podcast in the first place was to just we sit and we talk about movies. So why not just talk about movies on YouTube? Right? I mean, that's why we started. So but yeah, so tonight I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start us off. And I'm just going to talk about one of the best times of the year. If you follow us on Instagram, you've noticed we maybe have been making some posts on there. And if you don't follow us on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram at Pretentious Film Bros. But we've been highlighting the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble over the past 4 days. And that's just because right now it's 50% off at Barnes & Noble. Criterion, one of the most high-class film collectibles you can have. And so I thought it might be good. And I know, Nolan, you've picked up a couple as well. So I thought it might be good for us to just kind of start and just talk about some of the pickups we had. So I'll do a couple first, and then I'll have you kind of show off maybe one or two. I think I've got you beat on pickups this year.
About 3 times the amount, I think.
Yeah, so I think that'll be okay. And so, yeah, but I'm excited to kind of share that. So for the first one that I wanted to talk about is all of these except for one were a blind buy. I've watched a couple since I picked them up, but all of them were a blind buy when I went in. And I did that because I wanted to have some movies on my shelf that they belonged there. They're movies I've heard about, I've really wanted to just engage with, but maybe are hard to find streaming, or also it just would be really cool to own, right?
Right.
And so this first one I'm going to talk about is definitely it's a must watch here soon, and that is Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. I have walked past this a million times in my Barnes and Noble, and have just decided to never pick it up. However, in fact, actually, this first time, the first session I went in to buy a movie, I walked in, I picked it up, I bought it, and I returned it because there was another movie I wanted, and I didn't think I could afford it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this one back, and I'm going to get the one that I really want, and I'm going to just bite the bullet and suffer from not getting to do the right thing. So I put it back, and I go back the next time because more money came in, and I was like, okay, I can buy a couple more. I'll pick up Do the Right Thing this time. And it wasn't there. And I was like, oh, I really messed up on this one.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling.
Yeah. So I go back a couple times, still not there. And then probably about 3 times later, I go back, and there it is on the shelf again. And I was like, yeah, no, we're snagging it. So I bought Do the Right Thing, and I'm so glad that I did. It's the heat of the summer, right? We're at the end of July, coming into August. It is just from the appearance, it's a hot movie. There's a lot of heat going on in this movie. So it's one, too, that I've watched only one Spike Lee film, and that was Inside Man. or is it The Inside Job? It's The
Inside
Inside.
Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, it's the Inside
yeah.
Man.
And I don't know where I was thinking with that other one, but it is one that it's been on my watch list forever, and it's just time to knock it off the watch list. So this one is a must. It is a huge blind spot in my film watching journey. So I'm excited to finally pop this in and get to enjoy a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited for you to watch that one because then you can tell me how good it is because it's one that's definitely been on and off my radar.
yeah,
It's his claim to fame.
yes,
Really
I
is
mean,
the film that put him on the map.
a lot of people say it's one of the best movies to ever be made, and
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I need to watch it, and so I mean, it's held in complete high regard. So I'm super excited to watch that one. And I'll do three more, and then I'll let you take over because there's a
Sounds
couple
great.
you don't even know that I've picked up since then.
Well, that's
So this
exciting.
next So this next one, I wanted to kind of go. This is actually the movie I picked up instead of Do the Right Thing the first time, and it's because I'm slightly more interested in this filmmaker, just because he appeals more to my preferences, and he's a filmmaker I've never engaged with before, but one that has recently passed away and is known as sort of this solemn, bleak, despaired filmmaker, and that is Bellatar and Workmeister Harmonies. So this was just released not too long ago in 4K, and I knew I needed to pick that up. It just has been on my watch list for a long time. It's also one too that a lot of people say if you're going to actually LARP, as a film, as a connoisseur of film, you definitely need to watch Workmeister Harmonies, and God knows I love the LARP. So I want to knock out Do the Right Thing, and I want to knock out Workmeister Harmonies, and I'm super excited to watch this as it's not just a solo effort from Bellatar, and I know I'm going to butcher this name, but it's also Agnes Harinsky, and I am just so interested to see. I honestly don't even know what this film is about. I just have heard about it. I know it's bleak. I've seen some shots, and they look, I mean, just tremendously awful. Um,
You
and
do love
I
your
think
bleak cinema.
I really do. And in fact, Bellatar would conversate about Tarkovsky's work, and he made the comment that when you watch a Tarkovsky film, when you see rain, it's a sign of renewal.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when you watch my films and you see rain, it just means there's mud. And I thought that, wow, that to me, as much as I love Tarkovsky, I need to see what that guy means, because I do love some bleak cinema, and I think that Workmeister Harmonies is going to be nothing short of a masterpiece. So I'm super excited to watch that one.
Strong drink with that one.
Yeah, a very stiff drink with that one. But yeah, 100%. Just it. The second I saw it on the shelf, I literally left with Do the Right Thing, and I was like, no, I need to go back and I need to get Wordmeister Harmonies, and I walked out with both. So that's just what happens when it's 50% off. You justify yourself, and
You
you
do.
justify your bad behavior, and at the end of the day, you'll have some great movies to watch. So I'm
As
excited.
long as it only comes twice a year, I guess we're okay.
I think we're okay. I can afford twice a year. Thank God it's not every other month. I'd be in deep trouble.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
all right, and then the last two I'll do for this segment, and then I'll let you go ahead and take it from here. Is I picked up two Edward Yang films, another director who's a blind spot on mine, and that is A Brighter Summer Day, which I'm super excited to watch, despite it being 4 hours long, and Yi Yi, which I'm also super excited to watch, despite it being 3 hours long. Um, they're both some long. They're some long boys, but
Mm-hmm.
I do like long cinema too. When I can take a Saturday afternoon and I don't have too much going on, and I can just sit and enjoy a cup of coffee as opposed to a stiff drink, and just watch, or multiple cups of coffee. Let's be honest, uh, and watch long form art,
Yeah.
because there is something different about the long form piece of art. When you watch a movie that's an hour and a half, we enjoy those. We love the movies. In fact, one I'll be talking about here soon is only 83 minutes, I believe, or 73 minutes.
Yep.
And it is, those are beautiful and they're great. I love them. And it's nice to get in and out with a piece of art. But there is something significant about long art. And I just can't wait to watch Edward Yang because he's been on my watch. Yi Yi is one of the first films, I believe, on my watch list. I've had it on there for a long time. And A Brighter Summer Day has been one that I've just always been compelled by, with, at the very least, its artwork. So right now, those are the four I'll talk about. And I am very interested to hear what you have to, what you've picked up or something you are interested in sharing about Nolan that you recently bought.
You've definitely way outshot me this sale. Maybe I'll get to make it up in November. I've already got a couple that I'm planning out that list, as we always are. I've got about 20 that if I had all the money, I'd just go and I'd get all 20 of them right now. But so I got 3 this time, so I'm just going to give you one, and then I'm going to let you bounce back, and then I'll give you another.
Sounds good.
Go that way kind of deal. But and I'm going to start with the one that was my most anticipated, and it's actually coming up in the Instagram reels. It'll probably be tomorrow's reel.
Tomorrow, for sure, at the time of this recording.
Yeah, at the time of this recording. So it'll be up. You'll get a little paragraph, but I couldn't not talk about it here. This movie was announced for May, so this came out this past May. And when it did, I knew come July that this was going to be, if I only picked up one, this is what it was going to be. And that is Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value.
Yeah, if it was Von Trier's Sentimental Value, it wouldn't be a sentimental. So thank God it's Joachim Trier's.
Wrong Trier. Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value. This is the film that won the Oscar for foreign language film last year, and this is one of those films, and there's a handful of them that when I've watched it, it's exaggerating, maybe a little bit, but not really, to say that it's one of those films that was healing. As film lovers, we have those films that we sit down and we watch them, and they speak to something that was broken, or they heal something that was hurt, or they help us to go, other people have been through these things too, and they've survived. And sometimes in a really good film, they even get to thrive. And Sentimental Value was one of those films. It's a film about a family that's fallen apart, really trying to come back together. This isn't a spoiler because it happens at the beginning of the film, but the mother of this family dies, which causes the father to come back into the picture after being out of his daughter's lives. This is the oldest daughter, Nora, and then this is his youngest daughter, which gets you a better picture. And also, just look at this. This is gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the most beautiful editions Criterion's ever put out. But yeah, you've got his daughter, Nora, and then her younger sister here, and then their father. But their mother has just passed away, and their estranged father comes back to town. And that's really where the drama of this family drama comes. He's a well-renowned filmmaker, writer, director. He's kind of fallen off in importance and popularity. It's been a long time since he's made a really significant film. And he's got this script that he's written for his oldest daughter to star in. And he's really hoping that will mend their relationship. And that's all I'm going to say about this film. It focuses largely in their childhood home, which, again, Criterion just beautifully pictured here. It's just, this is one of their most gorgeous releases that they've ever put out. I mean, you spin the disc and they make one of the other daughter's head and her shoulders. Like, it's one of the most gorgeous films that they put out. And it was one that when I watched it, immediately I fell in love. I connected with Nora in a way that I've connected with maybe a handful of other characters throughout the years. I can think of another film that had a similar effect was A Year Ago in Winter, where I really connected with that character and the story and the things that she was going through and the challenges that she was facing in that moment. But Nora was another one of those characters that I just instantly connected with. I felt that companionship with her. I knew who she was as the oldest child of a divorce, as someone who loved the theater and loved performing arts, as somebody who had a tense relationship with a parent, and really just life would be easier if that parent no longer existed.
Mm.
So this was sentimental value. Really was. It was one of those movies that I had to have. And when Criterion announced that this was not only coming but coming to 4K, I broke my rule, Brady. Which I don't know if you know if I have this rule or not, but in my mind, maybe in the more snooty, highfalutin part of me, I believe a film has to earn its place before it is worthy of the Criterion Collection.
Mm.
I very rarely pick up films that have come out in the past year, the past 2 years, whatever, kind of things like that, which has been happening more and more in the collection. I'm like, that film has not paid its dues. With sentimental value, it didn't matter. I was like, I'm getting that film. I have to have it on my shelf. This was literally a day one pickup. Went in, grabbed it. I was like, if I don't get another thing for the rest of the month, I'm content with this. So there's a nice long description, a long recommendation of a film that is going to get a short recommendation here as of this recording tomorrow on Instagram. But if you've not seen this film, the sale may have ended by the time this video actually goes up. But in November, there's going to be another one. And if not, seek it out. You may have to get it. You may have to rent it off of Amazon. It's worth your time, especially if you come from a home that's maybe a little more broken, parental relationships that maybe are a little more strained. This is a beautiful film. So from my heart to yours, Trier's sentimental value.
Yeah, I also really loved the film. When it came out last year, I was rooting for it to bring home Best Foreign Feature. And even though I don't come from that same background, as far as being the oldest of a divorce, I am the oldest, and I would say that my relationship with my father is not estranged in the slightest, but the story is truly captivating, and the final 30 seconds of the film encapsulate beauty and tragedy with no spoken word, and it is tremendous. So great pick, absolutely. I actually went with a recent pick, or a recent addition to the Criterion Collection. I've actually gone with a couple, and this next one I'm going to bring up. I'm going to talk about three here. And the first one that I'm going to bring up is Sidney Lumet's Network, and that was the more recent addition to the Criterion Collection. 12 Angry Men I've owned for a long time. I watched 12 Angry Men years ago, and when people say it's one of the best films of all time, they're not lying. If you are watching this or listening to this and you've not watched 12 Angry Men, watch 12 Angry Men. Sidney Lumet is undeniable as a writer and director. And here, he's not the credited writer. He is just the director. And I do think that shows just a little bit. After I bought this was a blind buy, but I watched it very quickly after I bought it because Network has been on my watch list for a long time. But every time I would have to rent it and pay money for it, I was like, you know what, I just don't want to do that. So I was like, you know what, I feel good about blind buying this, and I still feel good about blind buying this. It's a tremendous discussion about, especially for this day and age, ratings. Like, what's your influence over people? What do people want to listen to? What is interesting as far as media outlets go?
We've just about that kind of stuff as two podcasters.
Yeah, no, not at all. So when you watch it taking place in the 70s, you think, oh, they're just talking about news, right? Like late night. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's a pure discussion based on what ratings can do to a guy. And it is a tremendous Sidney Lumet directorial effort. I do think the script is lacking at times. I don't think it's bad. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and write a script as good as this one, but I do think there are times where you feel the like repetitiveness of it, and there's some times where that's intentional, and there's some times where that's clearly like unintentional, and you just are like, oh well, that's not, maybe the way it should go. But it's a beautiful collection. I think that if you can see that the dollar bill fractured with the man in the middle of the TV, they couldn't have captured that image, that idea any better than what they're going for in the film, than with that image there. So Sidney Lumet's Network is one that I picked up here recently that I gave 4 stars. If you don't follow us on Letterboxd, you should. But that is a 4-star film to me. So it doesn't quite live up to the hype that I made for it in my mind, or is, in my opinion, it's not as good as 12 Angry Men, but I do believe that it is. It's still an amazing film. So still high quality, high praise for that one. And this next one is one that I had seen a number of times, but I never knew what it was about, and I never even really paid too much attention to it. But this last time I went through and I was like, you know what? I just need to grab that one. And that is Julian Schnabel's Basquiat, I believe is how it's pronounced. And that is starring Jeffrey Wright in the 90s. Okay? So if you like Jeffrey Wright now, I'm very interested to see how Jeffrey Wright is in the 90s. But not only that, this cast is very unique. It's Jeffrey Wright, David Bowie, Dennis Hopper, Gary Oldman, Christopher Walken, Benicio del Toro, Michael Wincott, and there was one more and Parker Posey. Truly an eclectic combination about an artist.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
It was his friend, Jean-Michel Basquiat, the director's friend, made this movie based on this artist. And with that cast of characters, there's no way this isn't at least interesting. You know what I mean? There's no way that this isn't at least an actor's
you should be entertained.
Hopefully I walk away from this feeling entertained. And if it's not entertaining, well, then that's a shame. But yeah, I'm super excited to have bought this in the 4K release that they just gave it, and I'm just super thrilled that this is super excited for this one. So, all right. I can't remember if I said I was going to have people guess which one was my blind buy. I don't believe I did. Or all of my blind buys, and which one was one that I bought that I'd seen before. But I've already kind of given away too much. And I just need to talk about that this next film I'm going to mention is the only film out of this collection of films that I've actually seen prior to buying them. And it's also one where I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset with my maybe opinion, but I believe it is the superior Celine Sciamma film, and that is Petite Maman. And it is truly one that I don't know why it's not 5 stars on my ratings, 4.5. And it is, it's unreal. I think I had seen a review that it said it's like vanilla pudding. It's just nice and easy and just what you need right in that moment. And it's about this young girl who meets her mother at her same age, as though it's this sort of dreamlike, surreal film, but it's very, very sweet, dealing with the loss of a grandparent. And what does that mean? Dealing with the loss of a grandparent from a grandchild's perspective, and dealing with the loss of a parent from a parent's perspective. And I just can't hype this film up enough. Petite Maman is one that it also came with a film. I've not seen it, but you have, Nolan. Mm-hmm. It came with a companion piece, My Life as a Zucchini, which is a stop motion feature, if I'm correct.
It is, and it's stop motion animation.
And it is co-wrote by Celine Sciamma, or maybe co-directed. I can't remember which one.
I believe it's co-directed for sure. It may also have been written by or co-written, but she is heading both of those stories.
I knew she wasn't it wasn't a solo effort. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that I mean, and look at that artwork too. You would think you'd look at this and you would think it'd be more scary than it
Yeah.
actually is. But at the same time, I feel like death is kind of scary for an 8-year-old to have to confront.
I
And
agree.
I think Celine Sciamma here proved to me after Portrait of a Lady on Fire that one that I still think is good. I don't want to be, killed or hung up somewhere because I think Portrait of a Lady on Fire is bad, but I do think it's a good movie. But I just don't think it's the best of the 2010s or even in the conversation for top 50 of the 2010s. I think there's a number of films better than it, but I think Petite Maman might be one of the best films of the 2020s. I would go as far to say is you could probably put it in the top 20 and I wouldn't be upset. I feel like that you definitely could get away with that. But yeah, that's my next collection of films. So I'll let you do your next one, and then I'll finish off with mine that I picked up here recently.
Good deal. Yeah, well, I'm glad you ended with that one because that's one that I've almost picked up probably half a dozen times since it was released in
Same.
Criterion. I've almost picked it up twice during this sale, and it is one that I think at some point will definitely be in the collection because it is. I mean, it's just a very melancholic, very meditative, very surreal portrait of a young girl who has just lost her grandmother, but has now met her mother as somewhere around 8, I
I
believe.
believe it's 8 years old.
Um, and she's learning what her mother was like as an 8-year-old because she never, I mean, to her, that mother never existed, right? Our parents, as children and teenagers, they don't exist in our minds. Um, but she meets her mom as this girl who was her age. And it's one of those films that it doesn't hit you until after it's over.
Yes, 100%.
It really, you don't realize the journey that it's taken you on, but it's a gorgeous film. It's, yeah, it's very sweet, very good. It's one that will definitely be in my collection, in our collection. Hopefully sooner rather than later, if I get my head screwed on straight.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have those films though.
We do, and sometimes they linger. And I've got another one of those films that I'm going to get to. That'll be my final one I talk about. But now I've got a Leo McCarey film with Cary Grant and Irene Dunne, and it is The Awful Truth.
Mm.
And this is, how does it describe it? An Oscar-winning farce in the role that first defined the Cary Grant persona. Charm, cunning, and artless affection as an urban couple who are fed up with each other's infidelities resolve to file for divorce.
Mm.
And this is a movie about divorce, but it's also a movie about marriage. Not in the way that Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story is about divorce and about marriage. This one actually has a much more happy kind of ending, which if you've seen other Leo McCarey films, I've got another one on our shelf, Make Way for Tomorrow. Another one about an elderly couple nearing kind of the end of their life and the end of being able to care for themselves. And it's their children are coming and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do with you. And their kids are horrible. But anyways, that film is much more melancholic, much more somber, much more sad at the end. Whereas The Awful Truth it's a farce. It's a comedy. It's a little screwy. But it's really interesting because as you watch these two people file for divorce and go through all these divorce proceedings and begin dating other people while they're still technically married, a lot of wonderful comedy ensues. This was a film that my wife and I both loved when we watched it, so we had to pick it up when it came time to the sale. This was the one that she was like, I'm picking this one. And I said, okay, this will be one that you pick. Because I don't like to hog all the picks. I like to let her pick at least one or two, as I'm picking 3 or 4 sometimes. So this was one that she was like, I want that one, and I said, I agree. We should have that one. So if you've not seen The Awful Truth, this is a great when you're talking about those brisk films that you get in and out, it's 91 minutes. It's well worth the time. It flies through. It's a great Cary Grant performance. If you're a Cary Grant fan and you've not seen this film, first off, what are you doing? Second off, seek it out. It's a lot of fun, and it's really amazing what Leo McCarey has to teach us about marriage with a couple who is getting divorced.
Yeah, I remember you bringing that one up, and I would say I'm a Cary Grant fan. I think I've seen 3 of his films. I've seen His Girl Friday, Charade, and if I'm not mistaken, he's in the Philadelphia Story.
Yes.
Yep,
he is.
So I believe those are the 3 that I've seen. I've not seen North by Northwest. I've not seen An Awful Truth. So I do need to catch up with a couple more Cary Grant pictures. But it is enticing that it's only an hour and a half long. And it should also be noted that the film I mentioned earlier that's only 73 minutes is Petite Maman. So if you only have, maybe you don't have even a full hour and a half, but you're like, I don't want to watch a TV show, Petite Maman would be a good pick for that one. But if you have an hour and a half, maybe An Awful Truth would be a great pick for that one. Maybe. So I'm glad you went back in time a little bit. I don't think any of my films are really that old. I didn't pick up any, but one, Workmeister Harmonies is the only black and white film I picked up. But
this one was 1937 was the year that it was released.
Yeah, no, I didn't quite go back that far at all, but that's okay. Sometimes there's a time and place for that.
There is.
So, in fact, speaking of which, I actually did pick up one that is super recent, and I don't have quite the same rule as you do, but I do appreciate your rule. And this is one that has been on my radar since I heard about it being released at TIFF.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the director's prior work, Godland. And this movie was also a huge hit at the Cannes Film Festival this past year. And it won, it just was a selection, I think. I don't think it won anything. Unless it won the grand jury. I don't think it did. But I think, or the jury prize, but I think that it was just a selection. But that is Hjálmur Pálmasson's The Love That Remains.
Okay.
And his prior work was Godland, which I told you I watched, and that's one that is like truly disastrous, based on 7 pictures taken in the Icelandic, like harsh weather in winter. And this one is also Icelandic, but it's apparently, according to its description, it's much more comedic, much more deadpan humor, which of course I'm very interested to see.
Deadpan.
And I'm also more interested. It says it's more tender, so I'm very interested to watch that. But it's been one that I've seen a couple of other people watch and log on their Letterboxd, and I've just been ticked because I can't find it anywhere. And I was walking through the Criterion Collection in Barnes & Noble the other day, and I looked around and I was like, whoa, is that what I think it is? And I pulled it up. I was like, it sure is. It's actually technically a wide release, 2026. So
is that when we have our Criterion premieres?
You know what? That's a great question. Yep, Criterion premieres. A selection of theatrical films released in association. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. But yeah, it is a Criterion premiere. And this one was $15. It was $30, and I was like, you know what? For $15, I can live with myself with that one.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to watch this, given how much I love that. It does also come with a companion piece, Joan of Arc, which I'm very interested to see what all that entails. But
like a companion movie?
Yeah, it just says a companion film by Pálmason.
Huh.
So $15 for 2 movies?
Can't beat that.
You really can't. Criterion release. So yeah, I'm super excited to see what all he has to offer in this one. So yeah, really excited about that one. All right, and then I did get another director duo. This one is a director that I've always appreciated, but have gotten more into recently as I rewatched a TV show masterpiece, and that is Twin Peaks, and that is David Lynch's Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me. And I also watched The Missing Pieces that came with this, which is just essentially a compilation of deleted scenes. But it's interesting because when you get to Twin Peaks: The Return, um, you start to think back to Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me, and you can't remember if you saw that scene in The Missing Pieces or if you saw that in Fire Walk with Me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's really any other director who could get away with that. And as I've mentioned before, I'm a huge bleak cinema guy. Despite this not being in black and white and being a very like artistic display, this is one of the most depressing films I've ever watched. And I bought it and immediately watched it, and it is truly just an experience that you don't want to have. But it's so good, and it has all of the David Lynchisms in it that are just truly. It has the Lynchisms that really bring you into the world of Twin Peaks, despite it not feeling like Twin Peaks at all, because it's really the story of Laura Palmer, and Laura Palmer is a very sad individual. And I would say, even if you never want to watch the show Twin Peaks, you should. But if you never wanted to, if you wanted to experience a Lynch film, this is my second favorite so far. I've seen all of Twin Peaks. I've seen Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet, Elephant Man, and Eraserhead. And this is my second one behind Eraserhead as of right now, because Eraserhead is just one of a kind.
That's
but
true.
I yeah, love it or hate it, one of a kind. But this is one that I cannot believe they released in 4K, and I'm glad that I finally just bit the bullet and decided that I would buy it and watch all of Twin Peaks, and I can't wait to rewatch it, and I also can't because of how sad and depressing this movie really is. So Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me is the first Lynch that I bought. And the other Lynch that I bought is one that's been on my watch list for a long time. It's one that I've not seen, right?
Right.
And it's one that a lot of people refer to as his best film, and that is Lost Highway, starring Bill Pullman. And I cannot wait to watch this film at midnight. I cannot wait to watch this film when it is dark, when it is quiet, and I can just engage with the media at hand. It is evidently a very, very surreal is the wrong word because it's David Lynch, and that just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But one that a lot of people have said it is just an incredible investigative mystery and neo-noir that is a must-watch. One of the people I follow, if you don't watch Seth Films Reviews, which I'm sure you do, or Seth Reviews Films, I'm sure you do, but he gives this 5 stars. And he's watched over 3,400 movies and only gives 81 films 5 stars. And so this is in an elite category on its own.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that his taste is, be all end all, but this film here is truly something that I feel like I am going to believe that it's going to be 5 stars, especially just with the Lynch kick that I've been on. So that's Lost Highway. Yes, as Instagram captions state. So this next one that I bought, I have walked past it a dozen times and have never picked it up. And I'm sure you can kind of see in that corner there, but it's Terrence Malick's The New World. And as much as I love The Tree of Life, as much as I love A Hidden Life, as much as I love Badlands and Days of Heaven, this is one that's never been watched. It's never been viewed. And this was a director-approved 3 Blu-ray special edition. And, I mean, it's interesting because if I'm remembering correctly, this comes with multiple different cuts.
I think
so. You have the extended cut, which apparently is the cut that everybody should watch, which is this one over here by itself. But you also have the theatrical cut, and you have the first cut. So I have 3 new Malick films I get to watch. And I'm not at all upset about that. And I'm very interested to see. This one was one that after his return to form, he made Days of Heaven and Badlands.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left the cinema world for a while, and he came back. And I want to say his return to form was The Thin Red Line, which is another one that I haven't seen. The New World was right after that. And came out in 2005. And which is also a year in film that I have just a blank. It's just a blank slate. I've not seen a lot of films in 2005.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to finally watch another film in 2005, and I'm glad that it's a Terrence Malick film. Given The Tree of Life is my all-time favorite film, it's a wonder why I haven't decided to pick up this one. So I don't think it's going to be better than Tree of Life. I think even if it is, it'll need some time to eventually get to that spot. But yeah, so that is a total of 11 picks that I was able to snag during this sale. Went a little buck wild, but that's okay. Because even though I haven't seen 8 of these so far, they will all be watched. And I'm excited to maybe even discuss these at a further point.
Yeah. Well, you times forward almost what I picked up this sale. So
yeah.
Congratulations to the victor go the spoils. And in the spoils, it is paid for criterions that came out of your own bank account. So congratulations for spending your money. I'm sure Barnes & Noble was very happy with you this month.
Hey, I got some discounts. I'm a Barnes & Noble member. So I got, I think $20 off total.
Yeah, so after buying 11 films, I bet you did.
Don't worry about it. So
not even worried.
I earned it. So
I'm sure you did. Well, so the last one that I picked up actually is one that I believe I've picked up before. But when I picked it up prior, I ordered it from Amazon during one of these sales because I couldn't find it in the store. And they shipped it to me and it was damaged. So I said, nope, that's going right back. So
that's right. I forgot which one you were talking about. I remember now.
Yeah. So this time this was number 2 on my list, really, after sentimental value. And that is Noah Baumbach's Frances Ha.
Yep.
And this is one, Brady, that you and I watched together when I watched it for the first time. And this movie is absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is a movie for people who are feeling lost in their 20s. And at that point, I was 22. So this was several years ago. I believe I was 22. And I was living in your basement for that month.
Yep.
So you want to talk about feeling lost in your 20s. I mean, just graduating Bible college, not really having a Bible college career laid out before me. Still don't have it. May never have it. I've kind of come to settle with that. But this was a great movie for feeling lost in your early 20s because Frances Ha, she's an actress, I believe, in this film in New York.
Ballet dancer.
Is it ballet?
Yeah.
She's a dancer.
Yeah, ballet.
In New York. It's been a long time since I've seen this, but I can't
watch
it again. And she's kind of going from place to place, from apartment to apartment, from friend to friend. She's hesitant to put down roots. She won't even put her own name on the mailbox at her apartment. That's how kind of free floating through the wind she is. And this is a great performance from Greta Gerwig, directed by Noah Baumbach. I don't know if they were married at the time that he made this film. They were. So yeah, she starred in his film. She starred in, I think, a handful of his films. He wrote it. He directed it for her. She was the star. She's captivating in this film as Frances. And it really is. It's just when you're lost in your 20s, there's a line in this movie that really was the epitome for me. She says, "Forgive me, I don't even feel like I'm a real person yet." And that's
said,
what Frances
said with deadpan humor.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely,
it's said with
completely straight. Yeah, like absolutely. Complete total seriousness. because when you are young and in your 20s and lost and drifting, especially if you're in a big city like New York, you don't feel like a real person. There are still days I get out of bed and I'm like, am I an adult? And I'm almost 30. But so yeah, Francis Ha was one that I'd wanted to pick up before. I had tried to pick up before, and I was like, nope, can't do it. Can't do that damage back and send it back. And then it's one that I rarely see in Barnes and Noble. So when I saw it on our last trip, I was like, I think I'm going to get this. And my wife was like, you better get it, because if you don't, it's going to be gone and you're going to be mad. So just get it. So I took her advice. I did what the wise woman told me to do, and we picked up Francis Ha. And
it
I'm
was
very thrilled. Absolutely worth it. I'm super thrilled to be able to watch this with her for the first time, and then to get to relive that first time experience through her eyes, as I so often get to do with those new films. I'm excited for it, for sure.
Baumbach's best, by the way, in my opinion. I've seen, I think, 7 or 8 of his films, and
yeah, you've definitely seen more than I have. So
Francis
I will
Ha
take your word.
is by, I think Marriage Story comes close, but Francis Ha is one that I think is just, it's just more rewatchable. One, it's shorter. Sure. It's only an hour and 20-ish minutes.
Yeah, it's 86 minutes. It's not even an hour and a half. Yeah,
and it's much more fun, much more relatable. And Marriage Story, I mean, the acting in a Marriage Story is fantastic, but it's also a devastating watch and like not easy to go back to.
Oh no!
But it's interesting because I say that, and I was selling Criterion's a while ago because I needed to make some ends meet, and despite my best intentions, I felt like that was the way to go. In fact, you lucked out on some of those.
I got a lot of great Criterions.
Yeah, I'm really regretting that La Dolce Vita one.
Well, that one was a gift. That was a gift.
Gift. That's right. That's right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You can't get that one anymore. That's out of print.
Yeah, but I think that what hurts me is I did sell my Francis Ha because people wanted that one, and I kept my Marriage Story Criterion. And I will say, as far as releases go, the Marriage Story release is a tad bit better than the Francis Ha release.
Oh, it's
because you do get the notes that they are writing to each other in counseling, which is just, who ever thought of that needs to have been given an insane pay raise. I would love to work at Criterion to help establish what becomes part of the collection.
Yeah, as far as a release, Marriage Story is one of their best.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I agree 100%. It's one I just look at every now and again, even if I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, it's like I got to look at it because it's a beautiful. You own it, correct?
I do. Yeah, that was one that a couple sales ago I was like, I'm an idiot if I don't get this.
It's true, and I'm having a feeling that I'm going to have that same opinion about Sentimental Value, and I might just have to pick it up in November because I saw it every time, and I don't know what it was. It's like it didn't call to me.
Yeah,
and you have those movies, they call to you.
You do.
So
absolutely, and you've got to listen when they do. And
when
they don't, just let them sit there. Because that's one of the great things about Criterions is, I mean, we just mentioned La Dolce Vita, but they rarely go out of print.
Yep.
You can almost always guarantee that once it's there in the collection, it's going to remain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know you're waiting on a couple more films that you're going to be picking up, and a TV show, if I'm correct.
Yep. Not picking up, they're going to be delivered to the front porch in about a week. One of them actually is coming, hopefully on Saturday. That's when
2 days. Wow.
When it says that it's going to be delivered. So yeah, I went a little short on the Criterions this month because if you don't know, Lionsgate and Lionsgate Limited, which is kind of their boutique release for Lionsgate films, they're releasing Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, the uncut, unrated, complete version on 4K. And there's this beautiful box set that was coming out from Lionsgate Limited. And that's a film that, again, my wife and I both love. It's her favorite Tarantino film, I believe, is the Kill Bills. which was great. It allowed me to double dip because we already have Volume 1 and Volume 2 again in pretty Lionsgate Limited steelbooks over on the shelf. But I was like, no, this is a whole different movie. It's got all these extra things. It's got posters. It's got booklets. It's come in this hard box. And because she loves this film, I was able to, without much convincing, get her to let me get that. So because of that, release was so expensive. And I say so expensive, it was about the price of 3 Criterions. But because that release was more expensive, we went less on the Criterions this year. And then also back in May, I pre-ordered. It's probably, you can tell it's on my shirt. It's on the back behind me. But that Stranger Things 4K collector set, that huge box with all the bells and whistles and all the goodies. And that'll show up hopefully next Tuesday on the porch. And I'm just beyond thrilled to get into that. I didn't think it would come. I definitely didn't think it would come from a boutique label as good as Arrow Video. So I'm thrilled. And that's one that my wife has seen 3 episodes. I think she was like, I just couldn't get into it. And I was like, no, it's okay. We're going to get into it because it's phenomenal. I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. I loved it. I really enjoyed the last season. I know a lot of people were like, oh, they ended it terribly. I loved it. I loved the addition of Holly. I loved the way that she and Max, and you got to see their relationship and what they did with Vecna. And I'm not going to go into any of those other spoilers, just in case you hadn't seen it. If you're a big fan, you probably have. But yeah, I'm beyond thrilled to get those 2 releases over the next week. So because of that, we went light this month on Criterions. That's what you get to do when you're collecting movies and you've got to get something really fancy or really pretty or really bougie. You make those sacrifices accordingly. But I'm more than happy to have done that and eagerly anticipating those arrivals.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that, something that's not really discussed a lot because we watch a lot of streaming is there is a significance. And I know it's like a rule, but thankfully movies kind of bend the rules a little bit. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
I would say don't judge a film by its case, but when it's Criterion, when it's these collector's editions, the artwork is so influential to our desire to buy.
Well, and that's what we do as collectors too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you've got people that are like, I just want the movie, and that's great. There are those collectors that are super important. I mean, I've got some movies here, recent rewatches that are simple, just little Blu-ray cases. But the movie is so good that I wanted to own it. But then there's those ones where the movie is so good and the artwork is so good and the collector in you is like, it's going to cost a pretty penny, but where can I move around elsewhere? Can I eat peanut butter and jelly for the next few weeks to get this really pretty release? And thankfully, you and I both have wives who they understand that collector mentality. Mine's a pretty big collector herself of her own kind of niche thing, so she gets it and she understands, and we're able to play in that as we're thinking through, okay, what are we going to do this month? What kind of fun money do we have? So she's really willing to let me go and kind of splurge on these things because she knows that I'm not going to do anything stupid. I mean, obviously I wasn't there when you were like, hey, honey, baby, I want to get, I'm going to pick up 11 Criterions this month. Is that all right? So I imagine that she was okay with it, that you mentioned it, and she said, yeah, that's fine. So go ahead and do it.
Yeah, more or less. Do you think I can pick up a couple more? And yeah, that's fine. So not so much. If I start off with such a high number,
right? Of course, you got to go in slowly.
Yeah, you got to just wait in a couple weeks after, So, yeah, absolutely. So and Criterion isn't the only collectible like boutique collection. We were actually just talking before the start of this. There's also Arrow. There's Second Sight. You just mentioned Lionsgate Limited. There's Kino Lorber. Like there's so many different collectible like physical release studios, I guess is the best way to put it. And they're all worth checking out. I have a couple from Arrow, and I have at least one from Kino Lorber. Criterion is usually the one I go to. But all those other ones are also well worth your money, well worth the investment. So I know you have quite a bit more of each of those other ones than I do.
Yeah. No, I've
But
got I've got them from all over. I mean, Criterion obviously is the biggest one. It's the one I first came to. It's the one that really started especially the boutique collecting, the expanding the taste of outside of English language films, really
mhm,
seeing what else is out there in the world. So that'll always just be the most because that's where I started. But Arrow Video is another one that I've got a bunch for. I love the work Arrow Video does. They're some of the nicest box sets. They're some of the greatest transfers. Second Side, I've got a handful. Those are a little more because you've got to import them. They're a UK based company and they don't do state releases like Arrow
mm,
does, who is also a UK based company, but they do a lot of releases in the states. But Second Side, you've got to import, so you've got to go through a third party to get those usually. They're definitely more expensive because of both the import and also just because of the releases. So I'm very picky and choosy with those. It's got to be a movie that I love, and it's got to be a release that I've absolutely just got to have. I think I've got one, two, three. I've got five back
mm,
there, and they were all movies that I'd previously seen before, and they were all movies that I was like, I got to have this one. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, I've got a handful of Kinos, got a handful of Shout Studios. So I love all the labels here. I mean, you and I both, we love all the labels. We love these movies that wouldn't get released any other way. I mean,
Mhm.
talk about Criterion. Criterion has a partnership with Netflix where if it's a Netflix movie, it's probably going to come out from Criterion. You know, you've
Mhm.
got many of Del Toro's movies, his Pinocchio, his newest Frankenstein, which I know you were a huge fan of.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Huge
You've
fan.
got Marriage Story, as we mentioned, all these movies that were kind of locked on Netflix, The Irishman, Killers of the Flower Moon, which was locked on Apple TV. That Criterion has these partnerships, so they put out these physical discs for collectors and for movie fans. That really they want to own these things in some really neat packages and slips, and with all the booklets and the
Mhm.
special features and the interviews and all that kind of stuff that we say we love. That sometimes, and I can't speak for you. I've seen maybe two or three of those extra special features.
Mm,
Probably more than that. It's probably somewhere around 10, 15, of the
mhm.
little 2-3 minute kind of things that I've looked at. But yeah, I mean, we love those kinds of things here on our channel. We know if you're a big avid movie collector that's watching us or checking us out, we know that that's something that you love too. Um, so yeah, you can't judge a movie by its cover. We've seen some great covers with really atrocious movies. Uh,
Yeah.
Arrow's put out a couple of those. I know Vinegar Syndrome's another label that it's not one that I collect for personally. I don't think you do either, but that's another one that
Uh-huh.
kind of has that reputation of really bad movies with really great artwork kind of deal. Um, but yeah, that's a whole lot of collector artwork kind of discussions. Do you have anything else you kind of wanted to add to that? I know we wanted to maybe talk about some just movies that we've been watching randomly. There's one really big hitter that I know you've just been itching in your boots to talk about
Yeah.
for about a week and a half.
Yeah, you've been very rudely keeping your rating under wraps. I would be lying if I didn't say I've checked it a couple times just to see if you slipped up.
Yeah. So I
You've not.
actually put it in my list today of where I ranked it among even my first time watches of the year, but I immediately
Okay.
made those lists private. I was like,
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah. So
giving any excuse for him to go on and see this.
yeah, I would love to talk about that and just kind of talk about maybe some movies we've gotten the opportunity to see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Something that is like very like just yeah, fun things that we've got to experience with film this year so far. Um, I would say as a new dad, this has been a very interesting year for watching movies.
Yeah,
Um,
it has.
Getting to most of my movie watching will have to come after he goes to bed,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a night owl because he's just like his mom and dad, and he wants to stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning. And so then I'm not going to watch a movie till 4 in the morning. I don't have the energy to do that. But if he goes to bed at 11, I can make it till 1. And so that's just it's been a tougher year as far as how many watches I've been able to get in. I think I've seen about 63 to 64 new watches this
Mm-hmm.
year. I would be happy if I make 120 by the end of this year. That's my goal. That's like my preset goal. I'd love to watch 120 new movies this year. But if I don't reach that number, that's okay. But yeah, this movie that we need to talk about before we go any further is my personal favorite Studio Ghibli film. And if you follow us on Letterboxd or on YouTube or on Instagram, it's also a four favorite. And it is The Wind Rises.
Mm-hmm.
Hayao Miyazaki's supposedly retirement film until he came back and did The Boy and the Heron, which is also a tremendous film, also really good. But yeah, you finally watched it. I don't know what caused you to watch it, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
And there is only one correct rating for this movie. And if you're not willing to give it, then we'll go ahead and we'll just call it good here. And
we'll just end the show here.
We'll end the podcast here, and we had a good run.
we almost made it a year.
We almost made it a year, but
ladies and gentlemen, good night and good luck.
Uh-oh. So, all right, but in all seriousness, let's talk about The Wind Rises, because I would love to hear what you thought about that.
Well, this is one that I've withheld the rating to make you kind of suffer and antsy and check a little bit here and there. I did give it a review. I took the quote, maybe one of the lesser used quotes from the film, as I kind of looked through other
pyramids
reviews, but about the pyramids. Would you rather live in a world with pyramids or without? And to me, that was the quote of this film that really struck me, because it comes at a moment we are going to spoil the next several films we talk about. So this is a spoiler warning for a vast number of films that are going to be spitballed here and there throughout the remainder of this podcast. But Hiro is remind me his name. I know it starts with the J. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it.
Hiro.
Is it Hiro?
Yeah, Hiro. Yeah,
Hiro. He's having this moment with his idol, and Hiro dreams of making planes. He wanted to be a pilot as a boy, but he wasn't able to pilot because his vision was less than perfect. So he couldn't be a pilot, so he decided he was going to be a plane designer. He wanted to design beautiful aircrafts all around the world. Well, when we pick up with this film, it's Japan in the middle of World War II. So obviously we know how this story ends from history, what history has told us about World War II, but he wants to make these planes, but he never wanted to make planes for war. But so then his idol, his inspiration, his mentor that he meets only through these dreams that he has, because this man was, I believe, Italian. Is he Italian or?
Yes, he's Italian.
He's an Italian. Yeah, he's an Italian plane designer. So Hiro can only meet him through these dreams that he has. But he asked him the question. He says, would you rather live in a world with pyramids or without? Essentially, would you rather live in a world where airplanes could be used as weapons? Or would you rather live in a world with airplanes that never existed? And that line struck me kind of as an artist and as a filmmaker, or as a aspiring filmmaker. I'm not. Well, that's not necessarily true. Anyways, moving on. As someone who dreams of one day creating things that will be shown on the big screen, that struck me as: would you rather live in a world with movies, where occasionally you get not only bad movies, but movies that are used for nefarious purposes? I mean, you just think of all the evil things that film can be used for. Not, oh, this film had evil stuff in it. I'm talking like truly evil things where films are degrading other people for profit or things of that nature. I'm not going to go any further. I don't want to be flagged on YouTube. But you can use your imagination. Would you rather live in a world with films where there is that possibility for humans to misuse and abuse the medium of filmmaking? Or would you rather live in a world without films, period? And if it hasn't been made clear from our discussion, even so far tonight, from the podcast that we've been hosting for almost a year now, I would rather live in a world with pyramids. I would rather live in a world with films. I would rather live in a world with paintings and with music and with food and all of the things that we as humans get to enjoy, than live in a world that did not have these things of beauty, at the risk of maybe sometimes these beautiful things are used in evil ways. So, anyways, that was a spiel that really didn't go into how I felt about the film, although I think maybe you're starting to get some sort of feel of the film. My wife actually picked this film to watch. So last year we wanted to go through the whole Ghibli filmography last year in order of the way it released. We definitely didn't get to 2013, 2015 when this film came out.
2013.
2013. I knew I was somewhere close around there.
Because when I was trying to pick my favorite film of 2013, it was between The Wind Rises and Inside Llewyn Davis. So KMS, that's terrible.
That's tough.
The Wind Rises does take it slightly, but for me, I was like, that was a tough year.
I bet that one was hard.
Yeah. So,
but so just one night she was like, I'm in an animation mood, and she picked this one. She knew this was your favorite film, obviously. We've talked about it. She's talked about it. We'd been anticipating it, even though we didn't get to complete that Ghibli challenge last year. We're still going and we're picking them up. So she knew about this film. We talked about this film, all those kinds of fun things. So she picked it. She turned it on, and she turned it off. And she said she turned it off at the end, not halfway through the movie.
I assumed so. If you turned it off
when the movie was over, she was like, "Why does Brady love all of these horribly depressing films? I'm never watching a Brady recommendation again." And I was like, "Well, that's Brady for you. He loves to be depressed and in pain and watching these horribly sad films." So I've wrestled with The Wind Rises since watching it a week and a half ago now, something like that, because I know what this film means to you, and I wanted to do it right when we came to this discussion. That's the other part of why I kind of withheld this rating. And I've gone back and forth with it even today. I went today, this afternoon, and I just watched a couple clips just to kind of remind me of maybe if I missed a moment in the film or something like that. I wanted to really have the full story going into this, anticipating this would be here. And even watching those clips on my phone screen that's this big, even scrolling through, like, oh, yep, I remember that. Oh, I don't know that I remember that. What happened there? And scrolling through those clips, and ooh, I remember this moment. It was really good. I kind of want to watch it again. Doing that, which is not a recommended way to watch a movie. Now, granted, I'd seen this movie already in its entirety. But even doing that, I could feel the choking up. I could feel the goosebumps watching this film. And I wrestled with it a lot throughout the rest of the day. And even my wife and I, we talked about it this evening. And I wrestled with it with her a little bit. And I'm wrestling because if this is a 5-star film, it means one of two things. It means that it is better than both Kiki's Delivery Service and Nausicaa, which are two Ghibli films that I absolutely adore.
And I haven't seen yet.
You haven't seen either one.
Yeah.
And that it's on par with Only Yesterday, which is the only, at this actual moment right now as I'm talking this through, the only film that I've given a Ghibli 5-star to. That's at least on par with that, and it is better than both Nausicaa and Kiki's. So that's the first.
That's the
first part of the assumption. So it's either that or the fact that Kiki's and Nausicaa are both 5 stars, and I really need to up their rating. And those are the two things I've been wrestling with as I've been wrestling through this film, and I'm still kind of wrestling it with it. I won't lie to you. I will tell you, this is a top 5 Ghibli film. No questions asked. At worst, it is Only Yesterday, Nausicaa, Kiki's, Wind Rises. At the absolute worst. My wife tells me that it's actually The Wind Rises and then Kiki's. And she's not seen Nausicaa, and then she watched Only Yesterday with me. She's like, I love Kiki's, but if you talk about and rewatchability, it's Kiki's. But if you talk about a beautiful film, it's The Wind Rises.
So she gives me a hard time, but she really does appreciate
and
that
that's the
quality.
thing too. When she says that I'm never watching this again, it means that movie has affected her in a way that is profoundly strong.
That is
Now, it's
fantastic.
also because we also talked about Grave of Fireflies tonight, because that's the film that she also had that response with. She was like, I would be more willing though to watch The Wind Rises over The Grave of Fireflies any day. I think it's a better film. I think the characters are better people, and even though they both have heavy, disastrous endings, I'm going with The Wind Rises. It's the better film. It's the better 5-star ranking, and it is. It is absolutely the better film. But she loved it. She's like, no, this is a 5-star. It needs to go up for sure. I'm sitting at, yeah.
Wow.
You've done it twice now this year. You got her with The Big Lebowski, and now you've got her with The Wind Rises. So you're on an interesting roll, actually.
I'm on a roll here. I might
very
actually earn her
interesting
respect one day.
But so I'm still wrestling a lot with this film. I think, if not by the end of the night and by the end of this discussion, by the end of the year, once I've sat with this film more, I can't find a flaw. I cannot find a flaw with this film. If I'm watching little clips and I'm still getting choked up and goosebumped, and I'm watching them on a little phone screen scrolling through an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the film at a time, I can't find the flaw. I mean, it's wonderful. The characters are perfect. They're perfectly cast. Martin Short as his boss.
Yeah.
As in the English dub, because that's the way that
I've seen it both ways, but the English dub is my favorite English dub in the Ghibli series that I've seen.
Yeah, well, the Ghibli films are the one foreign film that I watch with the English dub, where I let my pretentiousness go, and I'm like, no, these dubs are actually worth watching the English dub.
They are.
But Martin Short is perfect. He is perfectly cast in this role. Emily Blunt plays Iroh's wife. And she is, I mean, we talked about this tonight when I was talking with my wife. Martin Short's character is drawn, he moves, he gestures like Martin Short.
Yep.
Emily Blunt's character is the same. She moves, she looks, she acts like Emily Blunt acts in live action films. Like, the casting in this film was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find a flaw there. I can't find a flaw with the story. I can't find a flaw in the way that it makes me feel. Now, did it tear me up? Did it change my life like a film like Sentimental Value did? No, not to the same degree. But it's a story about a man with a dream, and even just that little bit of at the beginning talking about that quote and seeing how a quote about pyramids talking to a boy about airplanes connected to me on the opposite side of the world 10 years after this film, 80 years I think after when this film was set, to where I could insert my own dream into this quote and into this question. I can't find it. I can't find the flaw. And it's not that it affected me the way that other 5-star films have. Again, you've got your Sentimental Values, A Year Ago in Winter. But it's affected me in a way that it's more than a technical level. It's more than a technical masterpiece than something to say like Casablanca would be. Or something like Perfect Blue, to take another Japanese animated film, would be. Or something like Raiders of the Lost Ark would be. So it affected more than that degree of a 5-star, but less than these degrees of a 5-star, but it's still squarely in the middle of a 5-star affection. So maybe it is. Maybe I need to up Kiki's. I need to up Nausicaa. Maybe it's time to let go of my reins of so few 5 stars and loosen it up and say, no, these are films that they did affect me.
If they're 5 stars, they're 5 stars.
If they're 5 stars, they're 5 stars.
It doesn't matter if you only watch 1,000 films, but every single film you watch is a 5-star film, then it is what it is.
It is what it is, and you're on a crazy roll, and I've got to know what you're watching.
Yeah, for sure. For 100%.
But yeah, it's Oh man, and I want to hear you talk more about this film now because we've never talked about this film because
No, we
it's
haven't.
one
No.
that you wanted me to watch, and you're like, I'm not telling you about it, but I'd love to hear you just talk about this film because it's one of your 4 favorites on
It
Letterboxd. It's
is.
one of your 4 favorites on Instagram. It is there. It is official, and I'd love to hear about this film from you.
Yeah, as an adult, it's my favorite animated film of all time.
Mm-hmm.
When I initially watched it, I did not realize how much I loved it until, like you did. You spent time with it afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and you started thinking about it, and you started really engaging with the art that it is on a very intentional level. And I knew I liked it. I was like, I know I love this. Like, I know I like this movie. And the more I thought about it, the more I sat with it, the more beautiful it became. I mean, you're 100% correct in the fact that the line of would you rather live in a world with pyramids or a world without, that is, if not the defining line of the film, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you take that, again, spoilers ahead for this film, um, which you honestly didn't dive too deep into them, but I am going to
No.
touch on them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say Grave of the Fireflies, that is a bleak, depressing film, 100%. And like truly one that wherein the wind rises, I got choked up. I
Mm-hmm.
was teary eyed. In Grave of the Fireflies, I sobbed like a baby because that is just like truly horrible and one of the most, for me, effective anti-war films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Wind Rises, people have accused of being Japanese propaganda, which I think is just absolutely asinine. I don't know where you're going. It's like, oh, it's all about Japanese playing war. And it's like, okay, sure, but think about it at a core level. Think about who's making the film.
Mm-hmm.
The aeronautical engineer is not making the film. A filmmaker is making the film.
Yeah.
And so I understand where Michaela is coming from as it being a depressing movie. But to me, when I watch that movie, I'm filled with hope.
Yeah.
And I'm filled with the understanding of the nuance of the real world. And when I watch it, it's like, of course, there are going to be things that we're going to try to do. Think of AI, think of technology.
Yeah.
Everything can be taken and perverted, everything can be taken and distorted. Everything, right? And when you're looking at Euro as a child with so much hope and ambition of becoming a pilot, instead of realizing that, oh, I can't be a pilot, so what's even the point anymore? He decides, you know what, I want to design. I want to create it, right? It's sort of like what directors do when they can't act. They're like, you know what, I can't act, but I do want to create something. And I do want to push good acting. And I think that there's just something, or I'll say it like this: it's a better way of like film criticism, actually, kind of what we do,
Yeah.
where we may not be able to be in a place where we can sit down and actually write and make a film right away, but we want to engage with the work. We're like, we're going to push it because we believe this is good work, and we believe it's important,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
When you watch The Wind Rises, the nuance is just on full display the entire time. When you think about his dream of becoming a pilot is now distorted with the fact that his plane is probably going to be used in the war, right? And in
Oh,
fact, at
definitely
the
going to
moment,
be used in the war.
yes, and it comes down to that point where he's found out a way to remove 1/16th of a pound, right?
Yep.
And
By
when
using flat screws, he can remove almost
almost a
almost
full
like
pound,
what, a full pound or something like that.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And when he describes too later, where he says that he can create this and this is how light it's going to be, and everybody kind of loses their mind. They're like, how's it going to be that light? And he's like, well, there's not going to be any bombs attached to it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's not feasible. Like, there's going to have to be bombs, which I think is also very telling of not only the world in wartime, but the world just in general, right? I want to make this amazing piece of art, but I don't want there to be any nudity in it. It's like, oh, well, if you're going to make an amazing piece of art, you need to have something, titillating the senses. We need to have
Right.
something that's engaging. And it's like, no, I really do want to make this, or I want to make this. I don't want there to be any harsh language.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, if we're going to make something interesting, like we need to have harsh language, right? It's like, I want to make
Right.
this amazing meal, but I don't want there to be any salt. And it's like, oh, well, that's just not feasible. But here he says it with full conviction. This is what I want to create.
Yeah.
And so you have the man himself just with his dreams, right? His dreams since he was a child. But now he has this new dream with the woman he loves,
Yeah.
who is also, unfortunately, in a spot suffering from disease.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got
Most likely,
tuberculosis.
most likely
Time.
brought on, most likely brought on by the earthquake in which they met.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's never established. They never say this is brought on because of the earthquake. She inhaled smoke from fires and things. It's never
Well,
said.
and let's pause there too for a minute and talk about that earthquake sequence.
Mm,
I mean, it may be one of the best sequences that Ghibli has ever made.
I think it is.
It may be
Truly
one
remarkable.
of the like top animated sequences ever made.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking with some amazing animation that's come out in the past 5 years from films
Yep.
like the Spider-Verse films, from Love It or Hate It. I mean, K-pop Demon Hunters was groundbreaking animation that Sony's put out, but that earthquake sequence from back in 2013, it's breathtaking.
It is.
It's
Literally.
encapsulating. You feel like you are there. Like, it's just a whole nother level of animation that it's just wild.
It is. And I don't know if you noticed this or if I told you about it, but when Miyazaki was recording the sounds of the instruments, he used human voices. And you can hear it when you're listening intently.
Yeah.
When you hear the plane starting up and the engine roaring, or you hear the train moving down the track, you can almost hear a and it sounds like a person because it's human breathed. Anything we're creating is human breathed, right?
Yeah.
No one else is doing that. No one else is making a movie like that. And when you think about just what the implications of that means, I mean, truly remarkable, right? There's even the sound in the earthquake right before the it's brought on by humans, right? There is this like feeling of we're responsible, but it doesn't mean the world is not beautiful, right? A world with pyramids or without, a world with the love of his life or without, right? With every time.
Knowing
Every time.
what the end is going to be for their
Absolutely. And so I understand where Michaela comes from saying it's a depressing movie. 100%.
And to be fair, she says it with this kind of a joking smile on her face.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Like, it's a sad movie. It's a sad film, but you also know halfway through the film exactly what's going to happen. I mean, they don't hide it from you.
There's a scene where he is crying over the work that he has to continue to perform when he knows about the state that the love of his life is in.
Yeah.
I mean, Chill's right there just talking about it, right? Like, imagine truly being in that spot where you have to come to terms with what's happening in your life. And I think what makes this film stand out so much from the Ghibli world, and I haven't seen Only Yesterday, and so it may or may not lean more into this, but it's very realistic.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of what happens in this film that feels as whimsical as, say, another Ghibli masterclass, My Neighbor Totoro, or Spirited Away, right? Those films are very whimsical. The Wind Rises is not very whimsical; it's very grounded, right?
So
and I think that, it is. I figured it would be. It just gave me that vibe.
Yeah.
But I think when you watch that, it brings you to a point where you're able to see it through animation, which is just more child-friendly anyway.
More whimsical.
But more whimsical, but it's not leaning into full-on fantasy. In fact, it's based on a real person, And I think that Miyazaki's thesis on this film is we need to create despite what might happen. We need to love despite what might happen. I had the privilege of getting to rewatch this film very recently with some friends of mine, and they loved it. And I got to show it to my wife, and she loved it. And we were all just so thrilled that everybody liked the movie. Probably not as much as me. I probably do have a higher affinity for it just because it connected with me, right? It really connected with me. But like you said, as an artist or as an aspiring filmmaker, that's what we love to talk about. That's what we love to dream about. Is we want our dreams to become reality. And the wind rises despite the outcome. And so, I mean, we might make a movie, and freaking Tommy Wiseau made The Room, and when it initially was debuted, he thought it was going to be a groundbreaking drama, and everybody thought it was a comedy. And when he realized that people were viewing it as a comedy, he decided he's going to play into that and play into it as though it is a comedy.
Yeah.
And even though his work was taken and turned into something he didn't want it to be, he saw what it did for others, right? And so, I mean, that's just it's been happening. Why ignore it? Why act like these dreams are not nuanced? Why act like the world isn't nuanced? And yet, at the end, what's the message? Is the wind rises still. We can have hope. We can still do what we dream of doing, what we want to do. And yeah, I'm so glad that you finally watched it, and I bet you're glad you finally watched it too.
I am.
And
And as much as I hate it when you're right,
yeah,
you're absolutely right. I mean, and it is, and it's that motif of the wind rising. His idol keeps asking that question: Is the wind still rising? Does the wind continue to rise? And it's almost like that's his way of saying, is life still hard? Are you still facing challenges? Are there still setbacks that are coming at you? And his answer is always yes. Yes, the wind's continuing to rise. And then you get to the end of the film where, spoiler alert, his wife has left and she's passed away. We're led to believe this is after the wars ended, years after the end of the film. And he has this vision with his mentor and with all of his planes that he ended up creating that never came back from war. And then he sees his wife and she tells him, you must live. You must continue to live. And I know it's one of your reviews that you've put up in one of your many rewatches of The Wind Rises.
yeah,
The wind continues to rise, so therefore I must continue to live. And that's really what this film leaves you with. Life will continue to bring you setbacks and bring you challenges, but you must continue to dream. You must continue to live. You must continue to catch the wind and let it carry you higher and higher and higher. I mean, you're right. It's perfect. I can't find a flaw. Believe me, I've tried. I really have tried to find something to give it a 4 instead of a 5, and I can't find anything. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking, and it's hopeful, and it's inspiring, and it's disappointing, and it's all of that all at the same time. It really is one of. It may not ever be my favorite, as yours is, as it is with you, but it is a top 5 Ghibli film. I mean, it's an easy top 10, right? That's the upper half of the films, but this is top 5, top tier Studio Ghibli, top tier animated film. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go check it out. Pick it up from the library, watch it on HBO Max. It's on there with all of the Ghibli films. It's easy access. This is an easy one to find. You don't have to go buy a fancy Criterion $40 box set. It's there on streaming. Stream it. And then if you love it, go buy it.
Absolutely.
And watch it again and show it to other people. Because that's the beauty of a story, especially like The Wind Rises, a story of adversity and overcoming adversity. It's sharing that with other people. So go do it. Brady was right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew I was, and despite your opinion, I still was going to be correct. But I am so glad that you and Michaela both enjoyed it and think that highly of it. I think it's a film that kind of demands you to. It doesn't allow you to kind of like walk away from it without feeling wholly affected. And so,
you
especially
have to wrestle with it. I
you
mean,
do.
it's not. You have to sit with it.
You do, and it forces you to in your mind. You're not forgetting this movie the next day.
No,
you're not. And so yeah, but I think now too, as we kind of just come to an end, we'll just kind of talk just a little bit about what we've watched lately, what's really affected us, and looking forward to the future. Our next episode is going to be 2026 releases specifically. So we might mention a 2026 release that we've watched, but we're not going to go too in depth in this discussion about them because obviously there's a big one that just released.
Which we've both already seen to this point.
If you will. And we both have already watched, which was Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And I think we both share a similar opinion, so we'll have to definitely discuss what that means in the future. Whether we're on the side of woke slop or not horrible or actually pretty good or masterpiece, wherever we want to land. And so wherever we did land, and I think more time will only do us good. Maybe I'll even have an opportunity to watch it again to firmly establish an opinion. I don't know if you will, but yeah. So that's just one of those things where that won't be a film we discuss tonight, but one that will be on the docket. We've also both seen Obsession. We've seen what's another 2026 release that we've both seen? Send Help. We both saw. There was one more, I think, but I can't remember what's the other one we both have seen. But
I know I've got a couple in my docket that I'm going to try to catch that you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I record that episode.
I think that's good. I got a couple. I'm very excited. I think by the time we record our next episode, The End of Oak Street will be out. And that's one that I'm very highly anticipating. Which, by the way, Anne Hathaway is just on a crazy release schedule this year. Devil Wears Prada 2, Odyssey, Verity, End of Oak Street, and Mother Mary.
Which I haven't had 5 that have come out this year already. It's ridiculous.
Insane. Robert Pattinson's Zendaya, same thing.
Both have been we'll definitely have to talk about Zendaya fatigue in the next episode for sure. Is that a thing? Do we care? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Great discussion point for sure. The drama. We've both seen the drama.
Nope. I haven't yet. You haven't? It's on my docket.
You haven't? Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think that, that'll be a very interesting discussion as far as where do we see 2026 landing as far as the past few years of release of films. And it's also important to note that we're not in a place where we both have like access to theaters that are playing constantly all of the films that are being released. The invite is not showing near me. Despite me wanting to catch it, I don't know that I'll be able to watch it until it's on streaming. But yeah, that is something important to note as well. So if there's films you're like, well, why didn't you guys mention Zahon, then there's going to be a reason we haven't seen it, because we might not have a theater that is showing it near us. But one of the movies that I mentioned earlier, The Love That Remains, that's one I can't wait to watch as a 2026 release and see where it lands on my list. My assumption is probably pretty high, but if it's anything like the tendencies that he had in Godland, I'm very interested to see how The Love That Remains turns out. But yeah. So what are just a couple movies you've watched, and are there any of note here recently that you were like blown away by?
That's a great question. Let's find out the answer to that question. Oh, okay. So, well, obviously with The Odyssey coming out, reminded me of a cult classic film that I have not seen, but I've heard a lot of great praise about. We talked about Arrow Video a little bit tonight. It's one that they're releasing a beautiful edition of here in just a couple of weeks. It's 2004's Troy. And this is a film that I've never really had interest in per se. It's never been like, oh, I got to catch this one. It's never been one that I've really just even given a second thought. I knew it existed. I knew that it was kind of a cult classic type movie where it wasn't really super great, but people really loved it and it had its own following, kind of like a Donnie Darko type film, or a The Room, maybe is more accurate, type film. But with The Odyssey coming out this past weekend, I was like, okay, you know what? I want to watch Troy. Especially when Arrow announced that they were going to be releasing it. That's always a great motivator when one of these collections, these boutiques that we collect for, is going to release something that we're like, okay, well, maybe now I should watch that and see if it's worth picking up. So we watched Troy in anticipation of The Odyssey. My wife says it's probably Brad Pitt's best performance, which is significant because she's not really a Brad Pitt fan. Now, granted, Brady, we haven't watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so we've got to leave some room for that.
Have you not seen that?
I have. We together.
Okay. She has.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
I have. I've seen all of Tarantino's films. Okay. But after watching Troy, I loved it. I mean, to me, Troy is as significant of a film when it comes to manhood, when it comes to what it is to be a man, when it comes to what it is to be a not good man versus a honorable man versus a warrior versus a coward, versus a lover versus a man of duty. Troy is essential, in my opinion. I mean, it stands to me with the likes of Braveheart, with the likes of Gladiator, maybe even not to the perfection degree, but to the same concept of what it is to be a man as The Godfather.
Wow.
This is a film that I think is just that essential to manhood. I don't think it's as good as The Godfather. I do think it's on par with Gladiator and with Braveheart. I am willing to go there to say that. But this is a film that I can't wait to watch with my son. One day in the near future, well, I say near future, in the distant future. Not only is there being born, there's growing up. This is a tense movie. This is not one to watch with an 8-year-old. This is a 15, 16, 17-year-old type film. And my not really that important of an opinion. But this is one that I can't wait to watch with my son and to sit down and say, we're going to have a guys movie night and we're going to see what you think. And then afterwards, we can talk. What is it to be a man, according to Troy, according to Achilles, according to Armageddon, the general that wanted to burn down Troy.
Agamemnon.
Yep, that one.
I think that's the thing.
Yep. What do these characters teach us about what it is to be a man? And, I mean, what all films come down to, did you enjoy the film? So Troy is one that I can't wait to own, that I can't wait to rewatch. We both really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I had hopes for it, but I really loved it. So Troy was a great one. I'm part of the cult that will be a defender of Troy.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen Troy yet, but I am not necessarily opposed to believing that it's Brad Pitt's best performance. I love Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I don't think that that's Brad Pitt's best performance. I think that it's a good performance. I think it's a great performance, but I think it was highly overrated. Definitely over dramatic. I do believe that 100%. Leo outacts Brad Pitt in that movie, hands down. But Troy is one. My brother actually was just in town, and he had already seen Troy, and he went with us to see The Odyssey. And he said that he highly recommends watching Troy now that I've seen The Odyssey. He thinks that it's definitely a good companion piece.
Yeah, well, Troy tells the story of the fall of Troy. It tells the story of that war where you get glimpses of it in The Odyssey. You get kind of the full story with Troy.
Yep. So that might be one that I watch here in the near future, because I definitely am interested in because I do think my brother is very he enjoyed it. He thinks Troy is a good movie, so I am very interested in watching it. But yeah, okay, yeah, great pick. I actually watched one that is part of the collection I bought years ago, the Wong Kar-wai collection.
Mm-hmm.
One that's been on my watch list for a really long time. And that is Chungking Express. This is my fourth Wong Kar-wai movie that I've seen. I've seen As Tears Go By and Days of Being Wild and In the Mood for Love. And Chungking Express is one of those movies where when you're watching it, somewhere halfway through the movie, you're wondering if you're even watching the same movie anymore.
Okay.
And that's because your main characters have completely switched and they're never referenced again. Yeah. So you spend 45 minutes with these main characters and they disappear. And then you're with these other main characters.
Okay.
And you have to decide which story is more compelling. And I just really love that. It's like he made two short films into one, all based around the same theme of love and loneliness. And Christopher Doyle is a cinematographer on Chungking Express, and I gave it 4 stars initially on first watch. It's probably higher. It's probably more of a 4.5 film, because it is just, it's all vibes, man. And Quentin Tarantino even talks about it, where he hears the song California Dreamin'. He says it's impossible without recalling Chungking Express when they sing All the Leaves Are Brown. And she's in the little shop and she's just throwing her arms up and she's dancing and she's having a good time, and they're playing that California Dream song over and over and over again. Some people think that it's annoying. I get it. I understand why they might think it's annoying, but for me it suits the story very well. So yeah, this Chungking Express is one that I've been wanting to watch for a long time. I had a buddy come over and he's willing to watch anything with me. And I was like, hey, how do you feel about putting this one on? I need to watch a Chinese movie. I need to, because it's in Cantonese. Okay. And it is a beautiful looking movie with tremendous shots, tremendous editing. And you watch it and if you just let it wash over you, it's hard to be disappointed. If you spend too much time like I did initially when I was watching it, where you spend too much time and you're like trying to figure out what's even the plot, you're going to be upset, because there is absolutely, when I say no plot, there's absolutely no plot. I would say that, I don't know if you read my review for it, but it's very accurate that nothing says romance like chef salads and breaking and entering. It is, okay. That is a much more pivotal plot point to the movie than you might think. So can't wait for you to watch that one. Highly recommend it. I don't know if you've seen a Wong Kar-wai movie yet. You might be. Yeah, you need to watch some Wong Kar-wai. I would highly recommend starting with Chungking Express. I think that's going to get you into the style of who he is. And there's a Instagram guy I follow, directed by Adrian, and he also talks about like how to watch directors and like where to start with. I think Chungking Express is a great place to start because it gives you that kind of sense of what his style might be. But In the Mood for Love, I haven't seen Happy Together, 2046, or Fallen Angels yet. But I think In the Mood for Love is probably his best film. It's usually referred to as one of the best films of the 21st century. Right. So it's hard to disagree with that. But Chungking Express, for a good time, worth your time.
Okay. Good to know. Let's see. I've got a couple more that I want to recommend to you, one, but also just to acknowledge the recency of watching. So let me go. I'm going to hit you with a couple real fast, and then some that a little bit longer with. Okay, I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with The Black Swan. Or just Black Swan, not The Black Swan. The Darren Aronofsky, Natalie Portman film.
Have you just watched that? I feel
like I've seen this film before.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw this years ago.
I thought so. Okay.
Streamed it somewhere. But then even just this past year, a couple months ago, was in a half price books, looking around, turning in some books and movies, wanting to get some new books and movies, and found this. And I remembered really liking this film. I like dance films, which is strange. I counted them up this evening. I've got 4 of them on my shelf, including Black Swan. I've got Black Swan, Red Shoes, Summer Interlude by Bergman, and then The Company, which is a Robert Altman film, all about dance and ballet. So rewatch this one. Michaela hadn't seen it before. I saw it at Half Price Books. I was like, I remember really liking that film, and I want to own it. So we picked it up and watched it last month, into June. And this was a 4-star film the first time I watched it. It got bumped up to 5 upon
Really?
watch. This
I did not know that.
Absolutely perfect. And I love it. I love it because it's the second film, I believe, even in the month of June, to go from 4 to 5 stars. Maybe not in the month of June, but it's the second one this year that I've watched. It was a 4-star film. I rewatched it and I was like, no, it's perfect. It's Aronofsky's best film. Aronofsky knows it. He tells you at the end of the film, I was perfect. Now, of course, he's not telling you he was perfect. Natalie Portman's telling you she was perfect. Kind of like how Quentin Tarantino goes, this might be my masterpiece at the end of Inglourious Bastards. It's Aronofsky's best film. I haven't seen all of his films. I've seen a handful. I like to think I've seen enough to be able to have an opinion on what his best is. It's his best film. It's Natalie Portman's second best performance, I think, after V for Vendetta, because I love V for Vendetta.
Oh, wow.
So this one's not going to top it. But it may technically be her best performance. I love V. But yeah, this film is dark. It's disturbing. It's twisted. You've seen it before, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not one I have to recommend to you.
No,
but I did want to bring it back up and talk about it just a little bit, because upon getting to rewatch it, blind buying it and rewatching it, I loved it. It was fantastic. It was worth the buy. It's a new 5-star film.
So there's a very popular idea that a lot of people believe Darren Aronofsky essentially just stole Perfect Blue and remade it into Black Swan. How do you feel about that opinion?
I can see that opinion. I'm not going to go to war with anybody who holds that opinion. That being said, I think both films are completely valid in their own right, and I am very glad both films exist.
And I think it's interesting. We both have the same rating for both of those films.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I have Black Swan at a 4.5, and I have Perfect Blue at a 4.5. And I think you have Perfect Blue and Black Swan at both 5s.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that. I've only seen both of those films once. And so it's very possible that upon rewatch for both of them, they might jump up. Mm-hmm. And I don't disagree with you. I've seen Mother, Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan, The Whale, and maybe one other Aronofsky film. I've never seen Pi. I've never seen The Fountain, which I do really want to watch The Fountain. I've never seen The Wrestler, or Caught Stealing. So those are some of his that I haven't seen. But when I watched Perfect Blue, because I watched Black Swan first before I saw Perfect Blue, because I saw Black Swan years ago. Perfect Blue I just saw for the first time.
I did too.
I want to say this year.
Yep.
And I can definitely see the similarities. But when I watched Perfect Blue, I did not think about Black Swan at all, to be quite honest.
I actually thought about Silence of the Lambs.
That's interesting. I think that's much more. Well, I won't say much more, but I think that's a fair comparison. I think that Perfect Blue also is a lot about television. Mm-hmm. It's a lot about movies, and it's a lot about stalkers and that nature, where Black Swan, unless you want to count Mila Kunis as a stalker, which she's really not.
No, she's not.
There's that whole element. No one's trying to essentially. I mean, she is kind of trying to be her, but there isn't. It's not the same. as it is in Perfect Blue. I think both are very, very solid, like surrealist films
Yeah.
pushing imagery. They both are very good at that. And I think I get the allegations, but I just want to see what you thought. So I definitely can see the opinion, but
Yeah.
I
And I can
personally,
see
it
the
doesn't.
influence, because
Yes.
you've got Nina who is fighting this whole split dual personality with the white swan that she is naturally and this black swan that she's trying to become so she can be the swan queen and have this role. And you see that those two dualities, just like you get in Perfect Blue, you get the two dualities. But again, at the end of Perfect Blue, spoiler, it's revealed that the two dualities are two different people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas within Black Swan, they're both Nina.
Yep.
The physical form of Nina is both these dualities, where in Perfect Blue, it is two separate people completely, who are doing these things. So it's got that same
Yep.
psychological feel. It's got that same kind of horror thriller vibe. Black Swan is much more grotesque than I remember it being.
Mm.
It plays much more with kind of the body horror ish,
Yes, it does.
which is great. Part of that is because it's a ballet movie, and the things that they do to their feet alone are like body
Yeah.
horror.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it plays much more into. I think it plays much more into the horror aspect, whereas to me, Perfect Blue plays more into the thriller. And there, I think that Black Swan, I can see the influence of Perfect Blue, but to say it's a cut and paste same film, I
No,
think is
I mean,
preposterous.
yeah, I agree, 100%. Okay, I just wanted to see what your opinion was on that. Yeah, I think that both movies are well worth watching. If you've not seen either of them, you should watch both of them.
Yeah.
Um, strong female-led performances, and you will leave feeling messed up after watching both of them. Obviously, very high recommendations on our end.
Yeah.
We both recommend both films very highly. So, okay, Black Swan. I didn't realize you had recently watched that one. Yeah, okay, so the last set of movies I'll kind of discuss very briefly is my wife and I. My wife had never seen any of the Indiana Jones movies. So we decided we would watch them. I also was semi watching them because I was interested in maybe going to see Disclosure Day. Um, I would still like to see Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's latest release, but also after all these reviews, I'm a little hesitant. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point. Um, but when we watched them, my wife and I actually agreed a lot more than I thought we would.
Okay.
And her rating is possibly more upsetting than mine.
Really?
To most film connoisseurs and critics. So, however, in fifth place, we both firmly have Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That is a textbook bad movie.
Yep.
It's bad, 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 bad. And I thought maybe I'll have a good time with it. Maybe I'll at least like turn my brain off and I'll at least enjoy myself. My brain was turned all the way off, and I still could not enjoy myself. Just all around bad movie. One of Spielberg's worst, if not his worst. So
Yeah, I don't
that's
think
in fifth
anyone's going to
place.
argue with you on that.
Yeah, I agree. The next placement, I don't think most would argue with me, but all would argue with my wife. So next place, in fourth place for me, I had Dials of Destiny, the only Indiana Jones not directed by Spielberg, directed by James Mangold.
Which I was a fan
And
of, by the way.
I think that overall, I enjoyed myself. I think it just was pretty bland for me. I feel like as far as the sauce that Spielberg had going for him in the 80s, it just
Mm.
wasn't the same. Mangold just doesn't have the sauce. He's a very technically efficient director, but I look at it this way, like the Scream franchise. When
Yeah,
you look at the first four Screams, Wes Craven's got the sauce.
he does.
Even if you don't like Scream 3, he still has the sauce. When you get to the what was there?
Radio
Matt
silence.
Radio Silence. Thank you. When you get to their set of movies, 5 and 6, they're technically efficient, but they're just not going to hold up the same way as the Craven franchise. So I look at it that way. These two, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, bad. And then Dials of Destiny, huge jump in quality. Huge jump in quality. With a couple moments of, I wish we hadn't done that. That kind of takes away what I was hoping for. But anyway, my wife puts Raiders of the Lost Ark. So number 3, yeah. I'll say it this way: she doesn't watch movies the same way that I watch movies, and she's completely correct in her thinking in that it is a logical mess. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a logical mess as far as how we get from point A to point B to point C. There are so many times where it's just like, we're just going to skip that part. And I don't just mean with the plane and the map. There's moments where it is like, how did we even end up here? Okay?
Okay.
And so she doesn't think it's a bad movie. She still really enjoyed it. She still really enjoyed it. But she enjoyed the other ones more.
That's a very hot take.
That is steamy. Very steamy.
That's worse than your hot take, but okay.
It is worse than my hot take. So, but she also has my hot take with it. So,
right.
We'll get to see what that means. So, at number 3, she put Dial of Destiny, and I put The Last Crusade. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade. That is my number 3.
Really?
Yeah, I did change it. Yes. So, The Last Crusade is number 3 for both, or for myself, and my wife has it slightly higher, but she has Dials of Destiny at 3. So that is one where The Last Crusade I thoroughly do enjoy. I will say this: the top 3 Indiana Jones movies are the ones from the 80s, and I enjoy them all pretty much in the same ballpark. They're all pretty much in the same world. And so that's our ranking there. My wife really liked Dials of Destiny. I think she liked the strong female character. It was basically, I think Phoebe Waller-Bridger is a improved upon Marion, in my opinion. I think she's a little bit more of an interesting character. She's not like a brute, kind of like Marion could be, where she's having a drinking contest with people at the bar.
That's
but
fair.
She's equally intelligent, and there's also no romantic connection to her, which I think brings a new level of interesting world to Indiana Jones. A female lead that isn't a romantic,
right?
Like a romantic partner. All right, and the number 2
would be creepy.
That would be a little bit creepy. Number 2 is for my wife. She has The Last Crusade, and for me, I have Raiders. So The Last Crusade for both of us is we both have a great time with it. Love Sean Connery. Really not a whole lot of complaints. It drags a little bit the second act for us, and it just doesn't quite touch the top one for both of us as far as pure mania, campy fun.
Which is absolutely wild that this is not just your top, but both of your tops.
It is both of our tops. We both love the Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom is just one of those where, first of all, you ask me, I think it's the best title. Temple of Doom. I mean, that is just, you know exactly what you're in for. And I think they rode with it the entire way through tone, through camera work. It has, in my opinion, that while the boulder scene is iconic, the camera work in Temple of Doom in the opening scene, incredible. Mm-hmm. The dance number when you first are meeting Willie. Now, granted, Willie is... The reason this isn't a 5-star movie for me is because Willie is so obnoxiously annoying that I can't stand her. So it's bad. But Short Round,
he's bad, or she's bad.
But Short Round is an incredible character. Ki Hoi Kwan is an incredible character. So so that's our ranking, and we had a really good time with the Indiana Jones franchise, and we both realized that we think our rankings are probably the correct ones, and that we've all been gaslit into believing that Temple of Doom is a bad movie. Temple of Doom is not a bad movie. And Adam Scott from Parks and Rec, Severance, Hokum, as of late, uh, he said that, people asked him, what's a hot take you have? And he said, well, I don't know if it's a hot take, but Temple of Doom is my favorite movie. And if you don't like Temple of Doom, we can't get along. And I really love that mentality because he's exactly right. I think that it's a good movie, and I'm tired of people talking trash on it. Spielberg just had a great time, and people are going to throw out white savior, they're going to throw out racism, they're going to throw out all kinds of whatever. But guys, they're ripping hearts out of people's chests, and they're essentially mind controlling Harrison Ford. And there's lava, and there's amazing set pieces and mine shaft sequences.
And that ripped
It's such a good.
shirt, man.
What in the ripped shirt?
The
Oh
ripped shirt
yeah,
on the bridge.
on the hanging bridge. Tell me a more iconic image. I can't.
Well,
So that's my final mention of films this evening.
well, for the record, just to breeze through the Indiana Jones franchise, for me, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it's like you said, it's bad. It's just bad. Next for me is Temple of Doom. That being said, I really like Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I think it's a fun movie. It is a strong 3-star film for me. It is wild that in one Indiana Jones movie, they can have both the best supporting character in Short Round and the absolute worst with Willie. It's just bonkers. I mean, I'm with Short Round. You should have dumped Willie off a long time ago, and you would have had a 5-star film. It would have been a 5-star trilogy. So that being said, my next is Dial of Destiny. I had a lot of fun with it. We got to see it in theaters when it came out back in 2023, I believe. And I felt like it was a great send-off for the hero. Now, we talked about it off camera. We've talked about before where things at the end made it seem like maybe he was getting back in the saddle one more time and you wish it hadn't done that and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it was a great send-off for Indiana Jones. They did right by the character. They didn't destroy him in the name of trying to make a woke movie or something of that nature. They didn't Luke Skywalker him, as some people would probably say. At least not in my opinion. So that gives me 1, 2, 3. My second favorite is Raiders. I think Raiders is a perfect film. I think it's the epitome of what an action adventure film is. Does it have issues A to B to C? Probably. I still think it's a perfect action film. That being said, Last Crusade is always kind of has been and probably always will be my favorite. The way I like to describe it is it's my Return of the Jedi of the Indiana Jones franchise. In the fact that I know Raiders, I know that Empire is the better film, but I have so much fun with Last Crusade that it's my favorite. And they're both 5-star films for me. But for me, it's Last Crusade all the way. Son, they got us. You can't beat Sean Connery in the last.
No, you can't. I understand. it's true. Yeah.
So, but we are coming on to the end. You know, we've talked a lot tonight about movies, about things we picked up, just about all of it. And I have one more that I want to throw out, one more that I want to put on your radar because I know there's no way it's on your radar because it wasn't on my radar until we saw a trailer for this film in front of a DVD movie that we checked out from the library. We love trailers on our DVDs. In fact, my wife gets a little perturbed when we put in a library DVD and there is no trailers before it. Like, what is this nonsense? Why do I not have trailers? So this is one that we saw on a library DVD trailer, and I immediately put it on my list of I want to watch it, and you can't find it anywhere. This movie does not exist in the streaming services. It does not really even exist on Amazon Prime. I mean, you literally have to eBay this movie or get lucky and find it in a thrift store. Well, we got lucky and we found it in a thrift store for $3. It is Charlie Bartlett.
Oh, okay. Yep. I saw you watch that.
Yep. This is the most recent movie we got to watch. And part of it is the trailer was so bonkers that it was like, that looks like fun. Part of it is that's Robert Downey Jr. right there.
Mm-hmm.
He plays a pretty significant supporting role in this film. And then that's also Kat Dennings, which you may recognize from the Thor franchise of Marvel. She's also one of the leads in Two Broke Girls, which was an early 2000s sitcom type series. But this essentially is a movie about a kid, Charlie Bartlett, who is way too smart for his own good. He's actually really brilliant. And he has, as all high school kids do, this dream to be popular. He wants people to recognize him. He wants people to shout his name as he stands on a stage, as his recurring fantasy that he has goes. So he's brilliant, but he also causes trouble. At the start of the movie, he's getting kicked out of a private school. He's been kicked out of a string of private schools, as we come to find out. And his last chance, his kind of last hope, is this public school. So he goes, he's the new kid in the public school, and he's the kind of kid that wears the nice blazer with the patch that's got the Latin phrase on it. I mean, you want to talk pretentious kid, that's this one. Which, it gets him a swirly his first day of school.
I bet it does.
Anyways, he eventually he realizes that he can become very popular by selling medical prescription drugs to his peers. So he quite literally sets up a therapy office in one of the boys' bathrooms where he not only listens to his peers' woes and gives them pop culture psychology advice, but he also gets prescriptions for them that he himself has finessed out of his own family doctor to sell to these high school students. So, yeah, this movie's bonkers. It's fun. We laughed a lot in this movie. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I didn't have any expectation. I knew it looked fun. I knew it cost me $3. It's a movie that's stuck on DVD. I mean, there's nothing to it. It's a blank DVD where it says widescreen on one side, and I believe it's full screen on the other. It may not even have full screen. It may just be one side. But this movie's worth $3. Okay. This movie, in my opinion, is worth $10. I mean, if you get this on $12 for eBay, I think this movie's worth it. It's really fun. It's really funny. And then it turns to where it's a little more serious, a little more somber. His escapades start to catch up with Charlie, and the tone shifts a little bit. But it never loses that playfulness, and it never loses that hope, and you get a happy ending at the end. So if you're looking for a fun, lighthearted comedy that really is bonkers, I mean, it's as bonkers as that cover looks. That cover's a pretty good description of this movie. If that's what you're looking for, a little pop psychology and prescription drugs, Charlie Bartlett's a winner.
Okay.
So I think you should put it on your list for sure and see if you can track it down.
Okay. Well, good to know. All right. So, yeah, I saw that on there. I was like, I've never heard of that movie at all. But when you said you watched it on a trailer, as a trailer on a movie that you had rented or brought from the library, I had one. But it's interesting because speaking of trailers, this is the last thing I'll say. It's kind of getting some buzz right now, and it definitely had my attention when I watched The Odyssey. And I'm sure they showed this trailer before you as well. Other Mommy, I am super excited. Honestly,
I am thrilled. I can't wait.
Jessica Chastain looks twisted when she comes out of that. Yeah, quite literally, yeah. And when she comes out of that ball pit, I got full body chills.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I'm down. I'm in. So, Other Mommy.
Yeah, and we went. I'm probably gonna not hear the end of telling the story, but I'm going to tell it anyways because this is my YouTube channel. So we went to see The Odyssey with the in-laws. And my wife's mother is not a scary movie fan, like at all. Like she would not even watch something on the level of Scream. So the Goodnight Mommy trailer starts, and I'm sitting there, a seasoned horror fan, a couple seats down from her. We're all together. Her brother is a horror fan. He and I like that weird kind of movies, very similar horror taste. My wife's sitting on the other side of me. I'm watching this trailer start. It's sweet, it's innocent, and I'm like, this is a setup for a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
This is too sweet and too kind, and this is gonna be a scary film. And I think my wife even looked at her mom and she was like, "You're not gonna want to watch this," but she kept watching it. And the second that you see Jessica Chastain all in knots, she just jumped and she was eyes closed the rest of the time. And it was like, and I even looked over at her brother and I said, "This is going to be a horror trailer. They're setting it up and it's going to
Yep.
drop." And sure enough, it dropped. And oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to have to go
Same.
see that one by myself. It's going to be another obsession thing. Maybe I'll go see it with her brother. But I'm thrilled to watch it. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a great time.
Yeah. Great point. I agree 100%. Maybe it'll be schlock. Maybe it'll be good. I have no idea, but
Yeah,
I'm
well,
excited for it.
Obsession was supposed to be schlock, and it's made $430 million. So
Yeah.
we'll
So
see
I
what we get.
guess
Anything's possible in 2026.
very true. So, and stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to be talking about our 2026 watch list, the movies that we've got to watch, the movies we're excited and looking forward to watching, and our feelings on both. And so we thank you guys for joining us on this sort of yap fest where we just kind of sat around and talked about a plethora of different things, topics, movies we've bought recently, movies we've seen, our feelings towards cover art and all the rest. And so we appreciate your guys' time with us. And we always recommend other podcasts such as Film Spotting with Adam and Josh and The Next Picture Show, which is their sister podcast, Blank Check with Griffin and David, and other film essayists on YouTube, such as like Stories of Old, Thomas Flight, and The House of Tabula. People you can follow on Instagram, us, the Pretentious Film Bros. We're also on TikTok, same content releasing through both of those. If you have either of those platforms, we would encourage you guys to give us a follow and also be looking out for a new podcast that I recently found through Seth Reviews Films, the man I've mentioned a couple times. They have a podcast called Real Talk, which is definitely one that's also more interesting, maybe slightly more mainstream, but is also just compelling conversation about art and film in general. So we appreciate you guys as always, and stay tuned for the next one. And have yourself your own fireside chat. Remember, what is the point when we watch these movies? We don't just watch them and forget about them. We watch them and we talk about them. So until next time, thanks for joining us.
We'll see y'all later.